What's up, Savages? Welcome to the Savage Syndicate podcast, where I inspire the average person how to become hard to kill. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. Each one of my guests is going to help you become hard to kill in one of those aspects. So sit back, enjoy, subscribe, share, and stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill. All right, welcome you guys. Welcome to Savage Syndicate podcast. My guest is Mike Fallat. We were just discussing. I've had him talk personally in my group. Me and him have had some great meetings one-on-one, but he's actually never been a guest on Savage Syndicate podcast. So here he is. He is an entrepreneur. He is the bookman for entrepreneurs. He has a new book coming out. This is his last book, $1 million book. He's a book publisher. He's the one who helped me, or he wrote me or published my book. But Mike Fallat, he also has a new book coming out in August 10th, I believe it is. Never Say Die, The Mindset for Life. Welcome, Mike, officially to the Savage Syndicate podcast.
Finally, I get the invite. I had to pick up jujitsu for me to get the invite, but I'm here. I'm ready to go, man. I think I'm Savage certified beyond belief right now. So, dude, it's an honor to be here. Let's talk about Point Break and Cobra Kai. Let's do this.
Future. But I got a bone to pick though, because you are Savage certified. But how do people know that? Because I don't see that certificate anywhere back in the backdrop.
Dude, this is the office. It's in the bedroom. All right. I make sure that whenever people see what's going on.
It's more useful in the bedroom, I see.
It's way more useful in the bedroom.
We were just talking offline here how his gi and his belt are very noticeable when, let's say, women walk in the house, and it's another helper to get him to where the ultimate goal, right?
It's in display. It's on display right on the back of my door. Okay, so the moment you come in, you shut the door. It's right there. It's the first thing you see. Okay, and I think that I don't even know if I need to go to any more classes. As long as I got the gi and the belt on display, it should keep me safe, right? If any intruders come in, holy shit, he's got a suit right here.
That's a good point.
And then the fact of I only really got into jujitsu for the admiration of the ladies. That's all I need, man. Okay. Get them back. They've already seen the social media posts that I do jujitsu.
Let me tell you one more savage tip for the ladies. For those that don't know, he's on the East Coast. I don't know where he's at. Philadelphia or where
Pittsburgh.
Yep. If you put a surfboard in the corner, it wouldn't even be a fair fight for these women. You bring them home, they see a gi and a surfboard, you're pretty much going to have to fight them out. Like, you're going to have to beg them to leave the house because they're going to want to, like, oh my God, this guy's savage, jiu-jitsu, and a surfer. Come on now, dude. And a certificate that says all of that up on the wall. You're not even giving
Wait a second. I just Googled you, and you're on the Savage Waterman podcast. Good God.
That's the old name, Savage Syndicate podcast now.
Oh, got it. Oh, it is the Savage Syndicate. Okay.
Yeah.
My mistake. So I did watch a movie called Airborne growing up. Do you remember that at all? Did we talk about this movie?
I don't. Refresh my memory. What was that one?
But it's about a guy named Mitchell Goosen. He comes from California. It's a rollerblading movie.
Yeah.
But he goes to Ohio. You were in Ohio not too long ago at the Mastermind. But he goes from California to Ohio, and he brings his surfboard with him because he always says that he takes the waves with him. And he got the good-looking girl, and it made so much sense that surfboards get girls. So maybe I need to abide by your rule there. Bring a surfboard back. Buy a surfboard from Amazon, even if it looks like a '57 Chevy, like in Point Break. Doesn't matter if it has scuffs on it, if it even floats, as long as it looks good in the corner. That's it.
Well, I've been happily married now for 16 years, but this will tell you, I have 27 surfboards. So that just tells you the path. Before I met my beautiful wife, Alicia, 27 surfboards, that was a closer right there. These poor girls didn't even have a chance, man. But then I met my beautiful wife. I met my beautiful wife now, and now now I just actually use them all the time. So they're not just.
Wait, do you still have 27?
Yeah.
Oh my
I just took a neighborhood kids out, and I packed up 8 I just posted on social media. I took 8 of them out because a lot of the kids don't have surfboards. I'm like, yeah, well, we got some. And actually, I think I just got 2 more, so I got 29. So yeah, you never know. I have my quiver, my personal ones that I'll use, that I'll take to Cabo and trips. I have 5 that are my go-to boards. Kingston, my son, has, I think, 4 or 5, and then the rest are just fun boards, lawn boards, soft top, like just a gamut of just everything that we need to go and have fun. So
Man,
yeah, but we
just
could do this all day. Me and you do this all day. Let's get into who is Mike Fallat. Let's talk about you, your book, your company, everything you got going on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mike.
well, yeah, they call me the bookman, and I wasn't always the bookman. I was a landscaper, just a blue collar worker, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was working at convenience stores, convenience stores, not convenience stores. That always blows my mind when people say that. Restaurants, just doing all kinds of construction, and that's whenever I went to college. I got out of college. I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. It changed my life, and that got me into the world of entrepreneurship. Became a licensed real estate agent, bought a 4-unit building. Here I was, a landlord at the age of 23. Got a little cocky, started a couple other businesses. They were major failures. 4 businesses in a row failed drastically in flames in front of all my friends and family. And that's whenever I started to break everything down, make it very simple for me to know where I was going in life. I created a direct-to-home dog product service called Doggy Surprise, made me some money, and that's when it hit me. Wait a second, how did this business work, but the other 4 fail? Well, it comes down to simplicity, vision, demand, and I started telling people that asked me about business development of what to do, what not to do. Hey, you got to keep things simple. You got to understand demand. You got to understand your target audience. And it hit me one day, wow, I should just write a book about this because so many people are asking me for advice. Wrote a book. The girl I was dating at the time was an editor. She edited the book for free. I mean, I was pretty much dirt poor, at that point because I was in such debt. I was taking her to Wendy's and fast food restaurants as payment, plus all this charm. I could, that was payment. Give her a little extra East Coast charm,
Just thinking you
and
were
she
50 back then. Had that gi hanging up.
So she did the book for me with the editing. I wrote it, put it up on Amazon. There was a guy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania that knew the bestseller trick. I asked him, how do you become a bestseller? It's all about leverage, positioning, and timing. So right around December 2016, I put the book up on Amazon. We turned into a bestseller, and my life was never the same ever again. So individuals started coming out of the woodwork, asking me, how the hell did I get a book done in such a short amount of time? And I said, you know what? Rather than me just tell you, why don't I do it for you? I'll interview you. I'll write the book, and then we'll put it up on Amazon. We'll turn it into a bestseller. And that's how the business began. And since then, we've done over 355 bestsellers, and worked with entrepreneurs all over the world. And we have another side of the company, not just a publishing house, the marketing department, which is called $1 Million Book Agency, which helps you turn your book into a business with courses, automation, using a software called Go High Level, which you are very familiar with. And we help people turn the book into a business in many aspects. And it's been a wild ride. So it all spun out of control, I guess you could say, from me failing at a business or multiple businesses to finally figuring out my way. And it just got crazier and crazier. And then I meet people like you, and you get me into savage training to jujitsu. And not only do I learn from my clients, but I get inspired by them. And that's what leads to bigger and better adventures. And that is what my next book is about. Never Say Die, the mentality, the mindset for life. Really never giving up. You don't need to be born with all these skills and resources. You just need to have a mentality that you're a goonie. And if you just keep going and enjoy the ride and never give up, you can win this thing. So that's coming out August 10th. On my birthday, I turned 40 years old. That's why it's August 10th. So Never Say Die. Look for it, guys, on Amazon.
I'm going to make a note of that because I think we said we were going to be in Cabo, right?
Are you?
No, you let's go meet for your birthday. Oh,
David
Nichols.
I don't know if I got an invite to fly out to Cabo. Oh my God. Where's that? I don't know if I didn't get the gift. Was that a birthday gift? Did you send it in the mail?
Back
I'm
a
not sure if I saw
seminar,
those
you can
tickets.
get on stage and you can write it off, and it just so happens to be around your birthday. So,
That is a write-off, right?
yep. So let's jump back to what was more significant, the failed companies, like doing it in front of your like family, right? Because I've had businesses that haven't been successful. And I think the hardest part for me is saying it failed. I got to shut it down. I was promoting it like crazy to all my friends and family, and then now I got to like, kind of. How hard was that for you? Was that more significant, or was that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad? What really set the fire?
Oh, yeah. So I think that's why I have Rich Dad Poor Dad behind me. I think that's the defining moment that put everything into motion.
Yeah,
So I'd say that's more significant because without that book, I don't know if I would have become an entrepreneur. I don't think I would have awakened that warrior spirit of, wow, I need to just take control of everything in my life. I know what an asset is. So I would say that's huge. But the failing in front of other people, I will say, it stays with me. That feeling of putting everything on the line and then it's still not being enough.
yeah,
And then you kind of walk around like a shell of who you used to be. You're kind of like in ghost mode of like, wait a second, I know I was supposed to start this business, but why did I fail? And then you're kind of lost. You're in the woods. You're kind of feeling your way through the next stage or the next chapter of your life. And then you realize maybe there was something to take away from that failure. Wait a second. Maybe I was thinking too big. Maybe I was thinking um, as if I'm Steve Jobs, that I'm somebody else. I'm trying to do something that I don't love, or maybe there wasn't a need for it. Why don't I kind of reel it back and just start to identify some problems around me that I can solve today or tomorrow or this week without much energy? And
mm,
then you find out that little problems around you you can solve and then you can monetize. So it's not really about what you want or what you need, it's about what other people need. And you're
yeah,
like, wait a second, you know what? There is that problem over there. I can solve that for them. And you know what? If I solve that person's problem, even if I'm not thinking about millions of dollars, what if I do that 2 more times and then 10 more times and then 30 more times? And then as time goes on, you pick up these tools and resources. I always equate it to a video game called Chips Challenge. I don't know if you remember that game at all, but it's like you go through this maze and you pick up these little keys and you don't know when these keys are going to be required, but eventually they will be required to get to the next level. So you go into this forest or this maze, you pick up something, you're like, oh, I wonder what I'll need this for. I don't know, I'll just put it in the bag. And as time goes on, you're like, "Oh, that's why I learned that skill set. Oh, wait, my failure on stage that one time made me succeed at a much higher level at this next speaking event." So you pick up these tools and resources and skills that come up in later chapters. And
mhm,
so failures in life, you don't realize it right then and there, but they could be the greatest thing that ever happened. And even whenever a lady left me in 2017, the darkest days of my life, you always wonder, like, why would somebody that you really, really care for leaves you? And then you realize, what if that is the precipice to you looking inward to fixing yourself financially, mentally, spiritually? And then 3 years later, you're a whole different person, but you would never be there. You wouldn't be at that level if everything would have worked out. So as time goes on, you look back, you have a little bit more introspection, and you say, thank God. Thank God those first 4 businesses failed. Thank God that person left me. Thank God that scumbag cut me off in traffic or that scumbag treated me so poorly uh, at that job. Otherwise, I probably would have never left that corporate job. So thank God there are evil people out there because now look at me now. And I'm going to post about it on social media so you never forget it now.
Well, how do you think you had that mental toughness, or what sharpened that mental toughness to take that on the chin and make it a learning lesson? Like, so many people get knocked down and they're like, screw it, the world's against me. I can't get back up. Let me beg for this or that and this and that. Like, how did you get that mental toughness to say, hey, you know what? 2017, this woman did whatever she did. I'm gonna dust off, make a better business, blah, blah, blah. How did you get that mental toughness?
I think 2 things. Number one, I do believe that I get something from my dad. My dad is like this super blue collar Mr. Fix It guy. but he has this temper inside of him, a rage, right? And he, if somebody does him wrong, he'll fight back right away. So there is that chip on my shoulder. I think I get it from my dad. And so he always taught me about Rocky Marciano, and we always watched Mike Tyson fights. And, he was always about standing up for yourself and fighting back. And so I think that is in me no matter what. If somebody does me wrong, I'm either going to fight back right away or fight back in a way that I surpass that person financially, or maybe, with more authority or whatever. So there's something that I get from my dad, but there's also the aspect of potentially me seeing other mentors and heroes out there that have always talked about using using fear and anger as fuel. I think that it's in me now that this emotion that you have when things go poorly, to automatically get angry. I get pissed, right? Somebody pisses me off. I don't go after them directly. I just have this realization that all the greats have to find fuel somewhere. So I'm like, oh, that's a blessing. I'm getting angry. That fuel, if I let it go to waste or if I use it poorly, that's on me. But that's a gift. So I need to use this in the right manner, and I need to do it in a way that will get me out of this rut. Like, it's almost like on a dirt bike. And I know we've talked about dirt bikes in the past. I need to get you on a dirt bike. You got to get me on a surfboard. One of those are going to happen sometime in the future. But being in a dirt bike, if you're at the bottom of a hill or in a rut, you need to actually you need to give the bike more gas to get out of it, right? So as a human, you're always looking for that fuel to just push you out of that rut. And I think that certain things happen and they anger me, and I kind of bottle it up and I use it in a way that says, all right, I'm going to become wealthier. I'm going to become stronger. I'm going to become a different version. I'm going to become more articulate. So I'm looking for things maybe to piss me off, to get me out of that rut, so I can just be leagues above where I'm at 10 years from now than where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's good. Have I ever pissed you off? Have I angered you to get that?
Dude, I think you ever like, hey, can I get a third edit with my book? I'm like, son of a bitch.
Well, let's jump into the book process. Like myself, how do you get people who say, "Oh, I don't have a story in me. What are you talking about? I don't have a book in me." How do you get a book out of somebody? I know the process, and I think it's kick ass, but describe that to people.
Yeah, so I think everybody does have a book in them, and that sounds really cheesy, especially since I make my money from helping people get their books done, but it's true, right? You've learned certain things in your life that for a 100% certainty that if you could go back in time, if you can get in that DeLorean and go back 5 years or 10 years, you can give it to your former self, it would set that person up for success. And that could be basic things like vision, simplicity, demand, like I wrote about in my first book, or staying hard to kill. You always talk about how, when you pump gas, look around, like, get away from your car. Don't be right up against your car. Be very aware. And maybe something happened in the past that taught you that, or you saw something that taught you that. Well, maybe you could go back to your former self or people who are in the shoes of your former self and just tell that person something and wake them up. And it could save their life, or it could save their business. So you learn all these things as time goes on. And now it's your moral obligation to give back. It completes the hero's journey. You'll realize that if you start to help other people get to where they want to get to, then you can get to where you want to go. So these little lessons, generic lessons that you've learned, start writing them down. Power of your network, right? Being around certain people will create certain financial opportunities. When it comes to staying hard to kill, be very aware throughout the day, throughout the week. Here's how to protect yourself. Here's the training that's required, the discipline. Your life is a product of the disciplinary actions throughout the day, your sleep schedule, right? You need to have a hobby that clears your mind. All right. So these lessons that you live by, write them down. And if you gave that recipe to somebody around you in this world and it helped them, wow, doesn't that add more meaning and purpose to your life? So start writing down the lessons and then tie a story. Yes or no? Do I have a story that taught me this lesson? And if that comes to light, wow, now you have a lesson and a story, and that's all you need. And once you realize that your stories and lessons can be impactful on other people, you want to do it more and more and more. So what we do is we break everything down into 15 lessons, 15 stories. And once you have that clear, we do an interview process. You are great during the interview process because it's just like this. But the more you articulate your lessons and stories to someone else, the more clarity you have internally. So whether it's writing it down or on camera like this or on a podcast, the more you speak about it, the better you become at articulating it. So you start to simplify your message to the world, to your tribe, to your marketplace on social media or on stage. Once you do the interview process, we record it and we take it to a writer, and the writer watches it. Now, their emotions are not tied to you and to every detail and to every story. They're getting the basics. And what they're trying to do is to try to simplify the lesson in the story in a way that the average reader will want to just say, oh, I get to know, like, and trust what Josh Brisbane has to say. And the lesson that this individual is teaching, it latches on to me. I get it. Now, Josh Brisbane, the author, the Savage Syndicate host, is giving value to me. So I will not care about Josh until he helps me with my life. But guess what? I won't really trust him until I know his backstory. So that's what you're doing with the storytelling. You're telling your story in a way that bridges this trust in this relationship, but you're leading with the value. You're leading with the lesson. So when you write a book, guys, lead with the lesson, the give. Jim Rohn has this great quote: be of service to the many, for service to the many leads to greatness. Nobody cares about your life. They care about what you can help them with. So lead with the lesson, tie it to the story. And then the last piece that we always kind of tie it together with is the target audience. Who is the perfect reader? Is it a man who just got divorced? Is it a guy or a woman who's starting a business? Is it someone who loves dogs, just got a divorce, and looked like as if they wanted to leave their corporate job and start a business? Let's break it down to that target audience, because whenever we know who we're trying to reach, we tailor our message directly to those people. We drop these little nuggets, these little breadcrumbs. So that reader will get the lesson. They're going to find out about your life. It's going to resonate. And after they read it, they take the next step. Maybe they listen to your podcast. Maybe they take your course. Maybe they fly out to California and take the Savage Syndicate. What was it? What was it? What was the event called? My apologies.
Savage Syndicate Live, 2 days.
The live.
Yeah.
Savage Syndicate Live. Maybe they go to your event and they get Savage Syndicate certified. Or maybe they take the course, or maybe they buy the shirt or buy the hat, or maybe they follow you online, right? It's the relationship builder. First, get the book out there and then turn the book into a real business. Courses, masterminds, podcast, apparel, new additional services, affiliates, and just investment opportunities. It gets wild from there. And I've seen people's lives change, not only externally, but internally. And as I talked about before, that interview process, the writing of the book, the editing of what you just put down, you obtain this clarity, this self-awareness, and hopefully self-actualization. You know where you come from, you know where you're at now, and you know where you're about to go. And this book will help you get you there. So that's the process.
Yeah, if you're not inspired to write a book after that, man, I don't know what else to tell you. That one's going to be a social media clip. Like, edit that little nugget right there.
Thank you.
How long did you take after you wrote your first book to get on stages? Because I know that's a lot of the benefits of writing a book. Is now you're an authoritative figure and you get on stages and you start telling your story and doing all that. How long did it take for you to get on stages?
It was within 2 months of my first speaking gig. Came within 2 months of the book becoming a bestseller. Here's where it hit me though. I tried to get speaking gigs at colleges and other places before the book came out.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a shit. Nobody responded. We don't have opportunities for you. Nobody cared. I wrote that book. I said, I'm a best-selling author. I'd love to come to your school and speak about entrepreneurship. And the school, pretty much within 5 miles of where I lived, wrote back instantly, "We'd love to have you come in." All right. So it's like I am no different, but I have this new tool, this accolade, this trophy, this wrestling belt that says the market has already
Jitsu,
signed off on
jitsu
me
belt.
as a winner, right? It's what if I've already been approved by the marketplace, well then it's going to be a no-brainer for you to
Yeah.
trust in me a little bit more. So it changed my life. That's why I can get on podcasts like this and meet with people and tell individuals, hey, listen, even if you're not a billionaire yet, this book is going to change your life. You're going to get that speaking gig, that podcast interview, that potential client simply because of you have more authority on a certain topic. Authority, right? The root word is author. Become an author to obtain authority. Therefore, it becomes easier to attract the opportunities that you desire and you seek. So look at it as a magnet for everything that you want. And it really did happen right away. And it just started to snowball into more and more opportunities. And then you start to become selective of the speaking gigs you want to attend rather than travel somewhere and speak to a room that doesn't fit your brand or your business. You become hyper selective of certain areas, certain places, certain partnerships, and it's a great, I guess, a great way to become more selective. Like you want to say yes to everything, and as time goes on, you have to start saying no because your name starts to travel into these circles. And a book will help you become known in a certain area. It's a market identity. You have an identity that's being formed internally, but also externally. And that's why every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, write another book that will help you get those speaking gigs and opportunities that you might really desire. Maybe 5 years ago, you didn't want to talk about mindset. Now I want to talk about mindset. And that's what the next book is about. Never Say Die. The mindset, rather than just business advice or using your book as a way to grow business, I want to talk about never giving up and never surrendering and fighting to the end, right? I love that shit. So it will help me get speaking gigs and other opportunities that I couldn't get with the other books. And I guess that does happen as time goes on. You become, I guess, a different person. You learn more, but your passions and interests change. So therefore, what you speak about on a daily basis is probably going to change.
So with your mental attitude of wanting to, get mad at 2017 with that girl and better yourself, do you go into these colleges that turn you down, be like, hey, a little more hep in your step, and be like, yeah, you guys turned me down, and now this book, this 300-page book right here is the reason why you guys want me? I'd go in there
Well,
a little bit.
I don't even think of those colleges anymore. I don't even think those colleges. By the way, if they looked at any of my social media, I bashed the school system so much. There's
Uh,
no way they're going to invite me back to those
That's a
colleges.
good
So
point. Colleges are all so freaking lefty now that they probably wouldn't even let you on there.
I don't even want to go there. Right? It's
It
kind
wouldn't be
of
your target market, right?
yeah. What's really crazy about this is I wanted to be there. I really wanted to speak to kids and the college kids and to really help them forge their way into entrepreneurship. Well, now, colleges to me, it's an indoctrination camp. So I don't even want to be near them. All right. So I want to be out there on social media, preaching my message from home here in Pittsburgh to go on a dirt bike ride, maybe go to an event with other serious entrepreneurs, maybe go out to California and stay away from, yeah, we'll stay in Orange County. I think that's pretty much it. It's the only go to the red dot, maybe, and hang out with you and watch some Point Break movies. But yeah, I've changed on where I really want to spend my time. So it's crazy that you start off by being desperate and then you realize desperation pushes away everything you've ever wanted. So then you build your life in a way that maybe you attract everything you want and you don't want to attract what you were seeking in the beginning. It's pretty crazy.
I think success gives you that. Like we talk about financial freedom. You don't have to worry about these people canceling you or doing whatever the crazy shit they're doing because you don't need them anymore. It's like, hey, I'm already set. I don't need your whatever, your subscription or whatever you're trying to get. It's because you're free. That's what whole financial freedom means to me. Making enough money, kind of like FU money, right? It's like, hey, you want this? No. Okay, cool. I don't need you. I don't need you to pay my bills or mortgage or anything. It's like, hey, and I think that's the ultimate goal, right? Financial freedom, so you don't have to put up with this shit.
Damn straight. I, when people talk about wealth, I know people who are multimillionaires, but they can't say shit on social media, right? To me, it's got to go hand in hand. It's got to be having the money and have the freedom to do and say whatever you want.
Yeah.
So if you get one without the other, to me, that's a prison. And I think a lot of people in Hollywood, and maybe these are like the Robin Williams of the world, that you realize that even if you do get the jets and the finances and all that and houses, but it's built in with a facade and it's fake, eventually you could look around at all these things and you're like, wow, you know what? All of this is meaningless if I can't be my true self, if I can't really put it out there on the line. And I have to hold back. So I would rather build everything a little slower. Maybe it is a little slower, and maybe you don't go as far financially if you don't sell your soul. But when you look around, you're proud of the life you built. You have everything. You are free to say and do whatever you want. You can go and do anything you want, period, financially too. But being right with yourself is just as much as important, or maybe even more important than that wealth that you seek.
Those are a good little segue. We were talking a little bit about financial freedom. Um, Talk to us about what it means to you. And also, my next question here was, what is mailbox money? I don't know if I sent you that text the other day because Jimmy Buffett had a song about mailbox money. And I was like, did you get that text I sent you?
I don't know. I did see. I think that was a while ago. I got something about
Well, I sent you
mailbox
another
money.
one because I heard it again. I thought, oh, I'm going to send this again. But
Uh,
so, what is mailbox money? I know you talk about multiple
oh
streams
yeah, there it
of
is. I
income,
did see it.
financial freedom, mailbox money. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So uh, when 2020 happened and all the insanity, like, all the shit hit the fan, I only had one revenue stream, and it really did show me that that's not freedom. Even if you're making good money and you can pay your bills and you love what you do, the government can come in and just make up a bunch of shit, and all of a sudden that goes away. So you have to be desperate and do something that maybe you don't want to do. Maybe you have to take a job, or you have to, um, you know, go back to that old life. Well, if you have many revenue streams, then you can sleep really well at night. And it took me a little bit of time, but I started to build one revenue stream after another. And that was through courses, that was through more books, that was through new services, software programs, affiliate programs, and then eventually getting into self storage real estate. And so now you have a ding on your phone of every day, whether you wake up and go to work or not, there's new money hitting your bank account. And it's just a great feeling. And obviously you want to keep growing as a business, and you want to see more revenue hitting your bank account more and more every month. But having multiple revenue streams is what allows me to have maybe a little bit more time to build the business the right way. I don't need to go and just go after that one client every month or every week or every day. There's enough mailbox money hitting my account that I could plan things accordingly, plan my life out 5 years, 10 years, and build my life the right way. So, mailbox money, that does tie into obviously self storage real estate. I got into it in 2022, and there's multiple ways of getting paid from even just self storage real estate. There's a pref that it's a pref payment that you get, but also you get the refi check after you build it, and then you can refinance it, and then you can get the cash flow that comes from it quarterly, and then you get the equity whenever you sell the business. So I want not only appreciation with my net worth in my business or my investments, but I want cash flow. So if I give my money or my time to something, I want something consistently. And if you do that enough times, you start to have all these little armies out there going out there and finding more money and then coming back to you. And then as time goes on, your net worth goes up. But I guess you could say wealth is how much time can you allot yourself without doing any more new money. And if you can go to sleep at night and actually become wealthier tomorrow without doing anything, then you figured out the game. So that's always the plan. Shit happens. Obviously, economies change. But at the more revenue streams, the more mailbox money you can have, the better your life is. That's how it is. That's what I've noticed.
Do you have a number that you're trying to reach, or is it just it's just keep on keeping on.
So I'm looking at monthly recurring revenue, and to me, w- I guess you could say what I've always thought as true freedom is 1,000,000 a month. That's what I'm always looking for, and it's not just 1,000,000 a month earned income; it's passive income. So I'm searching and I'm seeking the 1,000,000 a month, so that way, um, it once you have enough money in the bank account, you can basically leverage that and you can take on more debt to really grow. But that's my number, 1,000,000 a month passive without me having to do any earned income. And then once I get to that point, um, you'll
You
probably
live in
see me in the
California.
woods. You actually won't see me. I don't think you're going to see me. I'm going to be in the woods somewhere surrounded by dirt bikes, old cars, and then I can maybe have a landing strip, fly in some I don't know if I'll be able to find too many patriots in California, but most likely some Florida chicks, and they can just hang out with me for a little bit.
Well,
Well, I'll have dogs. I'll have a bunch of dogs around me. That's for sure.
it's like that meme. I won't announce I'll won the lottery, but there'll be signs. So
Yeah.
you'll know. Or you can be like that one guy when he was on the newscast, and the woman's like, "Hey, it's like 2 billion. What are you gonna do with it?" He's like, "Hookers and blow." She's like, "Okay, sorry, next person." And he literally said that on the newscast. He's like, "I'm just gonna get hookers and blow." It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I have seen that. There will be signs, and it shows like a guy in a Batman suit at all times, or those it. There's
Yeah,
certain things that you'll see, and I guess that maybe that's it. Is like I, I, I don't know. I don't look at like Bugattis as like my dream or anything. I look at like can I just be able to just buy as much land as I want, travel there, get on my dirt bike and go around. Like it's not really the luxurious items. It's more so maybe it's being able to just know that you can turn on Facebook Marketplace and buy anything you want. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like I just want the ability to do that, and I think maybe that's what I'm always chasing is just I just freedom in general to not have any restrictions. And it doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and buy the 35 room mansion. It's just that I want to be able to build something that keeps growing without me. And I guess maybe that's the true sign of an entrepreneur.
I heard somebody say they only want to travel with their family and not have to worry about prices, right? They're not if they have to say how much is it going to cost for us, even whether it's a private jet or not, just not have if the family says, "Hey, tomorrow let's go to Hawaii." Okay, cool, book the flight or whatever, gas up the jet, and not have to worry about shit. Do I have to move money around to make this happen? Do I have enough money? And I was like, that's pretty cool. Like that's their financial freedom. Everybody's different, but that was a pretty cool one. What's up, Savages? Thank you guys for watching or listening to the Savage Syndicate podcast. I appreciate it. I want to take a quick minute to talk to you guys about the Savage Syndicate group I created. I created the Savage Syndicate group with one goal in mind, inspiring you guys on how to become hard to kill. How to become hard to kill physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. Inside the Savage Syndicate group, you will have videos, 160 videos inside of a library, teaching you the fundamentals of striking, groundwork, situational awareness, tutorials on gas station safety, restaurant safety, large groups, multiple attackers. All of that is inside this library that I created for you. I also have my own personal workouts that I do every morning, all under 30 minutes. They're inside of here. I also have live Zoom calls, either hosting with myself or I have guests on who are professionals at becoming hard to kill. Whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, or financial, all of these are experts here and geared towards making you hard to kill. So go to www.savagesyndicategroup.com, sign up, see you on the inside. Stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill. Um,
Yeah.
you talked about earlier a little mentors. Are you still in a lot of masterminds and you still have the same mentors? Do you have more or less? Where are you stand with that?
Another good question, man. I so much has happened in the past couple of years. I've been a part of many masterminds. Last year, I spent about $100,000 on masterminds. So I went through this incredible self-development stage growth, right? It was like I'm in mastermind after mastermind, traveling from here to there, meeting with people. Something happens though, where you're in so many masterminds that things start to either sound exactly the same or you're in so many masterminds, you can't implement what you're actually learning from the masterminds.
Yeah.
And when I started to realize that I needed to now invest in my team more and create more systems, it was like I need to get away from these masterminds so I can implement, to kind of adjust, to figure out what do I need to do now? Where are my leaks, to fix those leaks? Then I can go find those masterminds and those mentors. So I stepped away from all the masterminds for this year, 2024. I'll probably go back into a bunch more in 2025 or even 2026. But I went from investing in myself to investing in my team. And I started paying them more. I started creating incentives, more standard operating procedures. And that's where my money went instead of the masterminds. And what's crazy is that there is a point that you can learn everything you need to learn. But if you learn it, you need to now share it with others. You need to inspire and motivate others. You need to get them around you because you're only as good as your team. So this year was all about investing in my team more so than myself. And I'm noticing that there's definitely a transition internally that has to happen. It's like, hey, yeah, you can be the greatest funnel builder, website builder, ad builder, but that's only one piece. Your team needs to be at your level. So it's time to invest in those around you. And that I'm starting to see incredible results from that. So I think there is a stepping stone. First yourself, you have to build yourself up, and then the team. And that's where I'm at.
I think that's great because a lot of people say in the mastermind, they can give you all the information in the world, but if you don't execute it, which most people, the execution is the biggest, I don't know, barrier for people, right? I could tell you how to make $1 million, but if you don't execute it and go out and do it, then what's the point? So I think that's great that you decided, hey, you know what? I've got as much information as I need right now. Let me share it, let me build, and let me create it myself on my end. So I think that's good. I think that's great.
Well, big dogs, I've realized, like to hang with the big dogs. And if you're going to mastermind from mastermind and you don't implement and you don't change and you're the same person you were last year, you kind of get forgotten about, right? You start to be looked over, and I think that you need to. And Tyler McBroom, one of our clients, he said this to me one time. He's like, "Listen, I'll join Tony Robbins' mastermind, and I'm going to be around all these people, and I'm going to pick up on some tricks. I can't be around it for more than a year at a time because I need to go implement. And I'll join in a year or two after that, but damn, I need to grow my business. And being at the masterminds and all that is not growing your business. It's all in your being involved, growing, inspiring, and motivating your team. That's it. And once you realize a weakness, you just go find the mentor, you find the seeker, or the one you seek out the person who has those answers. So that hit me one time, and I'm like, you know what? It's okay to leave masterminds. And guys, you should be probably looking for more answers. And if you have bigger and badder problems a year from now, that might mean you're growing. And I think if you stay too long somewhere, the storm will take you.
I think we talked about this before. I had to purge a lot of the people I was following because I realized they were cheating in their physicals. They were taking steroids. They were, TRT or whatever
Oh,
you want to call it. And I thought, well, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And I thought, well, if they're cheating here, saying there's a couple guys that had a significant improvement in their physical appearance, and I was like, and now, and they're saying rah rah rah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's like, well, no, you're doing TRT, and it's probably not the best thing for you. So if you're telling me that this is how to work out, but yet you're cheating, how am I going to listen to you about business advice? Because you're probably cheating. You're probably cheating
yep.
on your wife. Like a lot, it's like a slippery slope, right? And so I like just did a purge of a lot of people, alpha males on my social media, because I said, you know what? How alpha can you be if you're taking needles? Wherever they're taking steroids. My son and I, Kingston, always said, "Dad, is that guy take a needle in the butt?" And I look, I'm like, "Oh yeah, look at him. He's juiced to the gills." Like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I stopped. I cleaned out my social media a lot. There's a few guys, and we know Mark Evans is still true, and I listen to everything he says, and I like and respect him a lot. But a lot of people that are around him, I had to kind of stop following and deal with because it was just, I don't know, negative stuff, negative and cheating, and I don't deal with any of that crap. So it's just
Great point.
purge.
What you just said hits home. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if you notice that one thing, and they don't own up to it, or they try to bury it, and you know the real details about that situation, you will never respect them in the same way ever again. And
And then you
so
start noticing all their messages. You're like, well, that's bullshit. Well, that's, and then you start nitpicking it because you're like, well, you look it through with different eyes, I think, and that's how I started looking at all these people. I'm like, wait a second. I started looking at them like, okay, you're already cheating that aspect of it. So now you're telling me to invest in this and this and this and that, or do this. I'm like, well, there's some holes there because now I'm looking at it as not this great. I'm not putting them on that pedestal anymore. I'm like, well, wait, you're a guy who cheated to get to one part of your life. How many others? And I started looking at it differently. I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of sounds, as my son would say, sus, right? Suspect. And you start poking holes in a lot of their shit, and that's what I did. And I'm not going to go on social media and call anybody out because I'm not. It's not my, not my place to do so. But there's a lot of people on social media, a lot of people I follow, a lot of people I had correspondence with, went back and forth with. That I'm like, man, I can't really associate with that crap because I'm 49. I'm not making new friends. So the group that I have and my network, I want solid individuals. And if you're cheating in one aspect, and I don't hang around guys who bash their wives because I love my wife. I love being married. I love my family. But if you're a guy who's going to sit here with a 12 pack and complain that, oh, my life sucks, I hate my wife, well, I have nothing in common with you. So like that's the kind of circle that I surround myself with, is people who have the same integrity, loyalty, respect with everything they do, whether it's lifting weights, jujitsu, business, and all that. It's just, I found a lot of people were not making, not filling all the check marks on my list.
yeah, you become super selective because it does rub off on you, whether you want it to, whether you realize it or not. And if you're around this it so within certain circles, some people get a bad rep, and and if you're with that person, they're automatically going to assume that you're in that world, you're doing something dirty.
I've
And
heard
I
you take
noticed,
shots, and I called you up on it. I was like, "Ooh, are you in the middle of this?" And you're like, "Nope, I'm on both ends. I've dealt with both," and you handle it professionally and well. And yeah,
so
you know,
it's in, and you have to, and this sounds like that sounds crazy. You have to take a stand, and you have to maybe distance yourself from that person, especially if you don't have any faith or trust. And
yeah,
I guess as time goes on, you do become hyper selective of who's in that circle. Who do you really, really trust?
yeah,
Because if you are the product of your circle, and they are the product of your, like, if you have any negative influencer in your world, and it rubs off on you, you start to become the outcast. They distance themselves from you.
yeah.
So things start to really add up. And I don't I guess as time goes on, um I don't really care about becoming a trillionaire or a billionaire as much as I do of sleeping well at night and being around really good people that I love doing life with.
Yeah,
So as
100%.
long as those two things are in my life, then I'm good. But if you do something, and you're closely connected to someone who does somebody dirty, you start to feel weird, like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have recommended that person to him. I feel sort of guilty of that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you want, is a conscious that kind of, you know, has trouble sleeping at night.
Well, and that's where I felt bad, is because I was, putting my social media, not that I have a huge following, but I was saying, "Hey, follow this guy for tips on this." And then I realized, well, he's not the greatest person in the world. So, and it comes back on me, right? So it's like, well, shit, I pointed you in that direction. I apologize. So now I do a little bit more due diligence on where I, point people to. And I took a little break from social media. I'm not posting so much about Savage Syndicate. I'm just kind of sharing my daily stuff and this and that, because I didn't want people to perceive me as that I'm the alpha male. Come be a savage. Come be hard to kill. Bah, 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 bah. I've never been that mentality. I've been a personal trainer before in my past. I'm never that guy who's like, do 10 push-ups, you piece of shit. I'm not a degrading person. I don't think that's the way. I don't. I don't listen to that message, so I didn't want my message to be perceived as that, and so I, and I don't think I ever came across it that way. I was just like you said, tell stories. Hey, I was in a fist fight here. This is what I did wrong. This is what I should have been doing. This is what I should have saw, seen coming beforehand. So I just try to paint that picture, and I still get a lot of trolls and say, "Oh, you don't look like a savage, or you're not tough, or I beat you up." It's like you're missing the point. I'm telling you how I became hard to kill. Like I'm not telling you, I'm not training you to go be a UFC fighter. And it's like, why am I arguing with these people online? You go down that rabbit hole, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing what I hate. But yeah,
Well, I love when I check out your social media and you're just like sitting in the parking lot like, "Oh, I really don't wanna go in here, but I know I need to actually train today. I'm the first one here at this parking lot. Look at this. I don't wanna
right.
be here, but I'm gonna do it."
Yeah. To me, I don't drink coffee, so to me, getting the blood going in the first thing in the morning, I'm naturally up at 5, so I either work out or go to jujitsu. I do a lot of my stuff in the morning. I walk my dogs. I do all the me time, check emails, do everything before my family even wakes up. And then they make
Wow.
fun of me because I'm the old man who goes to bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm like, hey, call me what you want. I'm like a rooster, right? When the sun is up, I'm up. Wacko, and then when it goes down, I'm ready to close up shop. Don't mess with me. I'm going to bed.
You mean 8:39? Isn't that, like, still light out? You're going to bed when
Sometimes
it's still light out?
sometimes it is, and my wife's like, "We can't put Kingston to bed now. The lights is still light." I'm like, "I'm going to bed. You guys do what you want." Oh, yeah. Discipline, my man. Discipline. Don't have FOMO. 50 minutes down.
Man.
That sun's not is I don't care if the sun's still out. I'm crashing. You gotta
Oh,
listen to your body.
jeez. There's I couldn't even imagine doing that. I'm 11:30 guy, so
Oh,
hey, that's about the same time, 11:30 Eastern time to, 8:30 Pacific time, dude. Now I feel bad when I called you whenever I said I signed up for jujitsu. I think it was like 9 o'clock at night. That was past your bedtime.
but that got me hyped up. I got some endorphins hearing that story. But when I watch UFC, it starts at 7 here, and I'm starting to doze off during the main event. I'm like, "Man," so sometimes I'll take naps during the day if I know a big fight's coming on, 'cause they're over, like, at 10 or 10:30, and my old ass is like, I need to go to bed." So, yeah, I don't know what we started talking about my old age, but that's what I do. I'm a rooster. I'm a rooster. But,
Well, I think it just tied into what you're saying is like the people out there put on a facade. They fake it because they think they need to create content that is really impactful and like I want to it's more ego driven, like follow me, like me, that type of thing. But if you just document your life like you're doing, where
yeah.
you're talking about, when you're driving around, you're like, look at this. Look at this. What's there's a certain phrase that you use for people who are fools, but
I got a
I
lot of knuckleheads, and it's like,
not yeah, look at this knucklehead over here. Maybe that's one of them, but you basically document rather than create, and I
yeah,
think that is what I'm more drawn to. I like people who are just living life. They're real. I really focus on people who are real that I could hang out with, and they're not a different person if you meet them in person, right?
yeah.
I want exactly the same, and it's maybe because that's what I respect so much that and I put out there is like if you meet me down at the coffee shop, I'm the exact same person. That cannot be said for everybody that you see on social media.
Oh,
So
no.
just
That's
be careful
100%.
with that.
100% right. Like, one take and I'm done, right? My wife says you cuss too much or you misspelled something. I'm like, well, that's who I am. They're getting the authentic Josh because I misspell shit all the time. But I hate it when I look at my, who people think the algorithm thinks that I want to see, and it's totally staged. They're acting or it's a skit. And I'm like, I'm not even interested in that. Like, show me what you bought at the grocery store or whatever. Be legit. Show me your daily stuff as opposed to acting in skits. I could watch that shit 1,000 times on YouTube. I don't want to. I want to see if I like and trust your message, I want to see how you live. I don't want to see some fake, commercial made content about what you're doing. It's like, hey, just show. I don't know if you watch the jiu-jitsu thing. It's Craig Jones has this whole spin-off where he's competing with another on the same day, and he's just like, F it. I take TRT. I'm fighting this. I'm fighting. Like he's just honest. And it's like I
Oh,
respect him
you
more.
respect that for
Yeah.
sure.
Like, be honest about your whole story, right? Like, just tell people who you are. Like, that's what I learned very young in my life when I was trying to juggle women. It was so stressful on trying to keep the lies and all the bullshit straight. I'm like, I'm gonna never do this again. I might be dating, when I'm telling people that I'm dating many girls, right? Lying is so fucking stressful and bullshit, and like that's all social media is now. A lot of these people are lying and putting this facade on, and like the old saying is like never meet your idols because you'll be disappointed, right? Like if you like a football guy and you meet him and he like blows you off, it's like he's so energetic on this and that, and he's great on the Coke commercial. Like I saw a different person. It's like yeah, that's you don't ever meet your idols. You're not going to be impressed for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
try.
some people who have a gift for masking all of it,
Oh,
and
a lot of people.
it's just it's not who I want to be, so I don't follow them.
Yeah, I see a lot of we were in the same circle some with the mastermind. I saw a lot of those people too. So me and you went a little. We talked about 15 minutes offline. You still got a little bit of time?
Yeah, I do have. There was a 4 o'clock that canceled, so I got time, man. We're good.
When you said that, it reminded me of that one of the social medias you posted where that what was it, Billy Madison, where he's crossing off names. Oh, you canceled at 4 o'clock? Oh, you're still on the list. I'm still gonna get you as he's putting lipstick on. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah. The people to kill, right? I think I made a post about how something along the lines
They
of
don't write a
if
book with you, but they refer you.
we refer a client to me.
Yeah, because that's some of the things here I have are from your social media. Let me put my readers on, and I'll tell you. Dive into one of them. One of the posts you had was conquer the weak man inside you. He's your first enemy to destroy.
Mm-hmm. He is. Yeah.
Write that down.
So in 2016, 2017, when I was going through those dark days, it wasn't my boss that put me there, right? It wasn't because 2014 is whenever I left the corporate space, but the goal was actually to go somewhere else and work part time. Well, turns out there was a non compete clause. My boss said you can't do that, so I had to go full time entrepreneurship at that time, and it was a major struggle. And so I always internally I said, man, it's because of my boss that put me here. I'm angry at my boss, right? That these dark days spawned from the boss. Well, no, it's because I'm not strong enough. I don't have the finances. I don't have everything in order yet. So it's me. I'm my enemy.
Mm.
And this weak person that can get his heart broken so fast, that doesn't have the money in his bank account, that can't stand up for himself, the one that couldn't really say out in the open that I am a major, major Trump supporter. I couldn't post about it on social media as much as I wanted, even though I was saying it to my friends and testing the waters. Wait a second, how are you not a Trump supporter? Like in 2016 against Hillary. I remember looking around like, wait a second, I'm the oddball out. I can't really be that open. And as slowly but surely I conquered the weak man inside, and I started being totally okay with telling people exactly who I am, what I truly believed every step of the way. And it starts with me. It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't my boss. It wasn't the girl who broke up with me. It wasn't the person who screwed me over as a tenant. Or I was a landlord. My tenant screwed me over, didn't pay the rent, really hurt me financially. Had to take him to court. It wasn't that person's fault. It's because I wasn't protected enough and ready enough to battle these demons. And so it always starts with me, and that's how I look at it.
I like that. Let me go to another one of your social media posts. Number
And
one.
so just to tie into that, maybe I'm not getting what I want. Maybe I can't get that speaking gig with Robert Kiyosaki because I'm not valuable enough in the marketplace, right? So it's not that somebody didn't spot me yet. It's like, shit, I got to do more. So I got to conquer whatever is weak about me now, so I am ready whenever that time comes. I do earn that opportunity.
Is that
So
one of your
just want to say that.
goals? To get on stage with him?
I want to meet. I want to have him on my podcast. That's my goal. Either probably by the end of next year. I think I can get him now because we're at episode 307, 308.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. We talked about never meeting your heroes because he changed my life. I don't want to meet him and not like him. I don't. So I'm
What if that
afraid.
happens? What if he tells you Trump sucks? I'm voting for Kamala. What if he's on your podcast and he says he's voting for Kamala?
Well, I know he won't say that because he's a major Trump guy, but he may do something like, you own a publishing company? You're not even ranking on the first page of Google. Who are you? Like, I don't want him saying that.
Yeah. Weren't
I'm
you?
afraid.
Didn't you go on, or did you have Brad Lee on?
Bradley scheduled to be on my podcast. His assistant confirmed 2 days prior he's going to be on the podcast, and he blew me off. Did not show up.
I'll tell you what, though, he seems like that kind of guy, and he seems like that, and then he would be like, "Yeah, fuck the screw Mike," right? He seems like that kind of guy.
Who's Mike? I don't know Mike. He's not paying for any of our services, that type of thing. So I kind of expected that because I can kind of spot personalities. It just let me know. I've interviewed 310 now, somewhere in there. Um, Many people scheduled. Only about maybe 4 or 5 people have ever blown me off. Of all these people, and he's one of them.
That
Come
would make
on, do better.
that would make my list. I'm all about respect and like your word is your word, right? And but don't people pay like 50K to be on his podcast?
They do pay. I don't know what it is.
I think it was like 50K because somebody said it on something and like, yeah. And so then I go back to all his guests. I'm like, shit, I'm paying 50K. Okay, I
It
wouldn't pay.
just Yeah, it just pissed me off because once you have an assistant confirmed, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, just let me know because that to me is a sign of if you can't make it, you can't make it. Hey, I mean, sometimes I was Thursday at a podcast, but hey, I'm actually leaving earlier than expected. Can we reschedule for next week? Yeah, no problem. Just
Yeah.
let me know. I just respect open communication. I respect speed and open communication.
Common courtesy, right? Like if he does that in his life, imagine the other things he's doing in his life. And he just, I don't know. I used to listen to him. He was one of the ones I purged because he just was a slimy. I don't know. I have my own thoughts on him, but yeah, I don't. I think you ended up winning on that one. Um, let's see what else here. What have been some of the biggest, I think we kind of touched on this, learning experience running your own business? Like what somebody's starting right now, somebody's listening to this says, you know what, I like financial freedom. I want to be spiritually free. I want to be physically like, what would you tell somebody right now, any stage, whether they're young, old, whatever, they're getting ready to be an entrepreneur? What would your advice be?
So it probably does stem from that first book, but I think in order for you to start a business from nothing, I truly believe you need to love it. I don't know if you need to love every aspect of it, but you need to love witnessing the transformation of your business because there are so many fires that you're going to face. And if you don't love it, you're going to give up. Case in point, this past week, I found out that there was fraud on my credit card. People have been charging me these little amounts for months at a time. Had no idea. Looked exactly like Facebook. Probably got $5,000 over the past couple months. Now, if I was, and I think with credit card protection, it's going to be, it's all taken care of. But my God, there's certain things happen to you that will just piss you off. But if you can fall in love with seeing this business grow and develop and mature, those little things don't matter at all. Oh, well, you know what? That just taught me I need to implement this new system, this new bookkeeping system. Okay, we're done. Boom. And this time next year, it'll be a distant memory and I'm going to be so much better because of it. Fall in love with seeing your business become an adult. I guess that's the best way to put it. That's one. Number two, solo entrepreneurship compared to team entrepreneurship is very different. So, being a solo entrepreneur, learning everything is a skill set that you will probably need, but it will not get you too far. And as time goes on, you'll have to start to give up control. And that is very hard for the average person. This is why people stay stuck. Giving up control when you have done everything yourself is so hard, but it becomes extremely rewarding to get on a call on every Tuesday with our team and to see a win that they just got without you being involved, or to see them become more of themselves, or to get on a call with one of your personal assistants or project managers or team members and they say, man, this job really gives me meaning to my life. And it brings a tear to your eye and you start to take an enjoyment in those around you and not doing everything yourself. And maybe the final piece is you realize that it's all part of your legacy, that the more people you help with your business, the maybe the more you can see how it ties into your legacy. Like you realize that if you help people with a simple solution, and you do it enough times, that's how you'll be remembered. And maybe that's what's going to get you to, whether it's paradise or to heaven. It's like, how much impact can you leave on others around you, knowingly and unknowingly, through your products, through your services, through the books you write, through the content you put on your social media. You'll probably, and maybe you are already, but you'll probably be judged at some point of how many people you've helped. And I think a business does that better than anything else. So realize that your business is not just about dollars and cents, but it's about impact on people around you now and forever. And if you could do that, I think you're going to stay the course and you will never say die.
I like it. Nice tie-in. Always be marketing. All right, let's lighten the mood up a little bit. Me and you get along really well. We have a lot in common. We always go back and forth about topics that we find funny. What are your favorite top three movies of all time?
Okay, easy. Back to the Future, number
Yeah.
one.
All of them, or just is there one? Isn't there three or four of them?
There's three. So I would have to say Back to the Future 1. If you watch them over and over and over, I think 3 is not on that list. 1 and 2, you can battle back and forth, but just for this list's sake, number 1. I can probably put on Back to the Future 1 and just play it on repeat constantly. So number 1 is the best.
Yeah.
Number 2 is a very close second. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff in number 2. And what's cool about this movie, Back to the Future 1 and 2, look how it all ties back to a book. In number 1, George McFly is a weakling. He is a nobody. He gets pushed around. He has no confidence. His goal is to write a book, but he always is facing this imposter syndrome. And it takes Marty McFly, his son, to come back and say, listen, you need to get this shit out there. You need to be confident. Otherwise, you're going to get bullied your whole life. And he goes back, wakes up his dad, gives him confidence. He fights back. He becomes a savage because he beats Biff. And then he goes forward into 1985. And what does he have as a tangible proof that he's a different person? The book. The book represents that he's a new man. He has confidence. He's not fearful anymore. Take it one step further to Back to the Future 2. What does it all evolve around? The book, right? It all starts with the book. He has this idea. Why don't I bet on all of these things that are in this book and I can never go wrong? I'll win big time. And his life is either elevated or destroyed. And that book destroys his life because it gets into the wrong hands. So never let the book get into the wrong hands of somebody. Keep it in your possession. And I guess maybe that's how, at a young age, maybe it's sunk in that books are meaningful in your life.
I was gonna let you finish with your three, but I was gonna tie that in to say, did you? I mean, you obviously watched this as a kid. I think it came out in the '80s, and then now you're a book publisher. Like it's a full circle, Mike. That's awesome.
It was meant to be. Now, did I know all of that when as a kid? No, I just thought I needed a DeLorean. Marty McFly, he plays a guitar, he gets the girl. I need a DeLorean and a guitar. That was all I knew.
So you got the guitar, right?
I got the guitar. I need a DeLorean.
How many are there made ever? Wasn't it a short, like a small list?
Yeah, 1982 and 1983 are the only years of that DeLorean, and they're not good cars. So I've looked into buying one. I can get one for a certain amount with the whole Back to the Future, setup with it, and it's pricey. The problem is, where do I put it? And the other problem is, when things go wrong, who do I take it to? Because there's not many DeLorean mechanics around. So
I think with the DeLorean, you would just have to put in a showroom. There's a guy out here who had his favorite car, a Ferrari, gut it and put it up on his wall. So I think with a DeLorean, you would just have to showcase it somehow.
Yep. So I need a warehouse to showcase it before I buy one. I will have one someday.
Okay. What's your other two movies? We're not
number 2. Is this number 2 or number 3? I don't know, but I can watch it at any time. It's on my list. The Burbs. I love The Burbs with Tom Hanks, Corey Feldman, Bruce Stern. It's amazing. You're familiar with this, right?
I used to watch all the time as a kid.
I love The Burbs. So at any time that's on, that's a must see. And I would say that the third movie, man, there's so many that hit that third spot. But let me give you a couple ones that may stand out. I could probably throw in. Mm, I could throw in Terminator 2. That's up there. It's got to be in that list. It's on there. The Fugitive. That's one of movies that I can watch at any time. And oh, dude, there's so many that hit that third spot. Back to the Future, The Burbs, and then let's just say, let me look around my. Let me look
I'm a
around
little
my
hurt
list.
that it's not even top of your tip of your tongue.
I mean, you're probably thinking that I'm going to throw out there the Point Break, right?
Yeah.
It's up there, but I don't know if it's a top three.
Because what
It's
I was
probably
gonna
a
do,
top five or a top 10.
I was gonna do with Back to the Future, it all revolved around a book. You watched it as a kid. Now you see, then you watch Point Break. You want to surf, then you become a surfer. Like everything's full circle, my man. That's where I was gonna go with that, and then you didn't say that. I mean, Terminator 2, maybe you could be an AI generated Terminator soon, but yeah, okay.
I,
Point Break.
I mean, there are many that could hit that third spot. Christine, I could put on Christine the movie up over and over, but Point Break is up there. It's just if there was another movie that's on,
North
uh,
Shore. Great. Have you seen
no,
that yet?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I mean,
Good
these
one.
are movies that I am a movie buff, especially 80s and early 90s. But
Tombstone.
Ghostbusters would definitely be in there. So I'm just a kid at heart, and anything that brings back the kid feeling is
Yeah.
probably on that list. So Point Break does do that, but I don't know if it's a top three, man. Top
You
five,
know,
top 10,
what my
100%.
son wants to watch? Kingston. I made sure there was no curse words in the song first, but colors. You remember that one from 1980s? Um, Color. It was a gang member about Crips and Bloods in LA.
No, didn't
Didn't
see
see the
that either.
colors? My man, you got to see Colors.
I've seen the Warriors. I love the Warriors.
Warriors was great. Watch Colors. Sean Penn, Robert Duvall, the producer of it. He was a well-known guy. Dennis Hopper, made it, and he got so much
Hmm.
shit for it in the '80s because it was true. Like I heard, like 18 gang members died being surrounded by that film. So that's a good one. American. These are gang movies, but anyway, Kingston wants to watch that. I'm like, you can't watch that yet, but you can listen to the music, which is a great iced tea. After this, I'm gonna send you Colors on this. Listen to Colors afterwards. No
I,
Chris.
I thought you were going to say a movie that Kingston wants to watch, but he's not allowed to. Is Kids. You remember Kids? That movie?
I never. I don't think I ever saw it. I know that that actress came out of it. What the heck was her name? She's good looking. She's um,
It's a messed up movie.
yeah. I saw a part of it, and I was like, it was kind of like a doc. It was. I was confused whether it was a documentary or it was a movie, and I was just like, this is. I think I might have been drinking at the time too, and I was like, I'm over this one. Um, but yeah, okay. Well, ended it a little lightly because I didn't want to. I got one more question for you. One more
Yeah.
question. Are you or were you ever a reader? Because I love to read. I'm not an audiobook guy. I love to read. Are you a reader?
I'm an audiobook guy now. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I
So,
grew up not reading at all. I
yeah.
think through grade school and high school, I think that I probably read one or two books total, seriously, from start to finish. One of which was a book called Hatchet. Do you remember the book Hatchet? Okay, so as I think a Robert Paulson or Gary Paulson book, but I was in third or fourth grade, and I swear to God, I don't think I read a book willingly until Rich Dad Poor Dad. So growing up, didn't read. I fell in love with reading at 23. I probably, I don't know, I would say hundreds of books since then. And if it's personal development or business development, I'm in 100%. But nowadays, I get most of my content, I would say, from podcasts and audiobooks. And the reason why is because I go for runs every day. And so I have 45 minutes of just like freedom, like not have to worry about work or, doing anything, where there's a lot of thinking involved and I can just go. And so I do a lot of audiobooks and a lot of podcasts now.
All right. I'll let you slide. How are your knees when you run? You run 5 miles a day, right?
5 miles a day, man. You just go easy, and you got to do a little bit of stretching, but Yeah, you gotta do more cardio than lifting when you get to a certain age. I think it's just depending on your body style, but just go easy.
Well, yeah, I realize now I'm 49. I'm in the popping and snapping stage. So things just pop and snap when I popped my bicep tendon, just got out of shoulder surgery 3 months ago. Like things just pop and crack and snap at my age. So you have that to look forward to.
No, that's because of jujitsu. You've been in enough fights where your body's like, hey, with these you gotta go easy, man. You gotta pick up something like trials motorcycle riding. That's what
Oh
you
my
gotta do.
God. Yeah, I got on a motorcycle once when I was a kid, ran straight into a brick wall, and I swore I'd never do that again. Yeah.
All right. I will get you on a bike with
I
a
will go
motor.
with you, and you will surf with me. You've already started jujitsu. You got to stay more than 2 weeks, and yeah, we're. I promise you, I'll get on a bike with you. As long it can't be Harley anymore. You hear what Harley did?
No.
Oh, Harley, they're having LGBTQ communities at their headquarters. They're pushing. Um, yeah, you Google it after this.
Oh, I yeah, I mean, I have an old Harley, 71 Harley, but I haven't paid attention to anything Harley related because it is very corporate nowadays. So, yeah, not into that. I'm more into it's crazy like Spanish bikes and bikes from Spain and
Are
from
Triumphs good
Italy.
bike? Triumphs and Indians?
Yeah, they're expensive. I just rode a Triumph this past weekend and it was choppy. So, I don't think they're as good as they once were, but I like it. I like these European bikes, even with Spain and Italy, they're putting out some unbelievable bikes now. So that's where my heart's at.
All right. Well, get me on a good bike, and I'll get you on a good board and some shark infested waters, and
Yeah, you got 29 of them. You got 29 boards. I'll take one of them.
I do. Maybe I'll make you a custom one, $1 million book agency one, or a never say
That's how you get
die
me on these. Hey, if I could start to sell boards that are related to our customers' books, maybe if I could see there's any profit in it, I'll get
promo,
into it a
promo,
lot easier.
promo. How about I get one that says never say die on it? Of course, then that time I get a never say die board, you're going to see a shark that day. So let's not tempt fate with that one because they just had a shark
Yeah,
attack down in Del Mar, which is a few miles down, and it bit him. It bit him bad, and so I don't know if he's still living. But then I went swimming this morning around the pier. So if you're in the lineup, I don't ever feel I think about them, but I'm not scared of them. Once you go out past the surf, that's when I start getting a little dicey. And every Wednesday I swim around a pier with a bunch of people, and that's when I was like, shark attack and going out in their world, and yeah.
that's
So
their home, man. Stay away from their home.
yeah, but you got bears and you got coyotes, mountain lions. I mean, you got shit out in your hobby too.
Yeah, but they're on my turf. I can see them coming, dude. I get. You can't see a shark coming, right? They're underneath of you.
Surprise
That's their
that.
atmosphere. You're just a foreigner entering their territory. You're an illegal immigrant, sir. That's what you're saying.
I'm trespassing. Well, I think if when I fall, I land on I mean, it does hurt, but I think falling on a motorcycle might be a little more dangerous.
That might be true. All you got to do is just know your limits. My brother always says that. He's like, just know your limits
I obviously don't. That's why I have 15 surgeries. Well, Mike, I appreciate having you. This is what we can do all day,
all day for
just
sure.
banter. But I appreciate you coming on. How do people find you on Instagram, social, anything?
Yeah, so the best way probably if you are interested in learning more about our book creation service, go to dreamstarterspublishing.com. And if you're out there and you already have a book that's done, you want to use it to generate attention for your business, go to milliondollarbookagency.com. And if you just want to follow me on social media to see what I'm all about, go to The Dreamstarter on Instagram. And either you're going to like me or hate me, one of the two. There is no in between. So hopefully you can do one of those and we can talk more about point break quotes because every once in a while I'll throw a Utah, give me two.
Give it to Utah. Yeah. Well, Mike, I do appreciate it. I think you dropped many nuggets in there. Anybody who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur or write their own book, I think you definitely motivated them. So I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you, sir. So with that, stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill, brother. Thanks. What's up, Savages? Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to that podcast. I really appreciate it. If you guys want more information or more content like this, visit me at www.savagesyndicategroup.com, where you could also join the Savage Syndicate group, where I have over 160 videos in a library of all things teaching you guys how to become hard to kill. So again, I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Stay safe, stay savage, stay hard to kill.